Hello everyone, this is Miradras back with another GranDracmon deck profile video. This will be a quick update to the deck, and also I'll include a combo segment. I know that recently the whole Fenrir Lugamon Dark Animal deck came out, and at first it was looking like it might have support for this deck, but ended up being a whole different thing and having completely different type of play style. So I've stuck to my guns and kept it pure GranDracmon. So I'll just go over what it is right now real quick because I want to save time for combo segment. But I finally settled on a ratio for the eggs. It's 1 Pagumon and 4 Tsunomon. I again tried to vary it a bit with it, but I ended up really missing the draw power that you get from Tsunomon. So I prioritize consistency, and that's a running theme in this deck profile. I try to maximize consistency. And then for level 3s, we have the 4 Dracmon as per usual, and the starter deck 6 Gabumon has been replaced with the new starter deck, I think, 16 Gabumon, which is a pure upgrade for this deck in particular, especially since the other one got banned to 1 copy. But it's basically the same thing. It's just once per turn instead of being able to do it over and over again. When attacking, draw 1 trash one as an inheritable. But its main effect is really great. I love this main effect of start a main phase. If your opponent has a Digimon, you gain a memory. It's such a great way to just gain some extra memory to work with. And if for this deck that's like a memory guzzler, it really eats a lot of memory real quickly. It's a good welcome to the deck. And then I have over here 2 copies of Labramon, a simple on play draw 1 trash one. You could also use the new Elecmon from Star Deck 16. They're essentially the same card. I just use it for flavor with Dobermon. The last level 3s are 2 Psychomon. You could have this be Gazimon also. I just find Psychomon to be a bit more detrimental to the bad matchups that this deck, or the rough matchups that this deck could have, because with Gazimon usually I see that being a good counter towards Bloom Lordmon. But in my testing, this deck has a pretty good matchup against Bloom Lordmon. It's usually equal, if not in your favor. So I've never really needed to stop them from gaining memory. I can just delete a lot of their Digimon while they're evolving and set up blocker and retaliations before they're able to do anything crazy. So I feel like Psychomon is a lot more valuable to keep Royal Knights down, to keep from getting Death Xmon played by your opponent, and especially stopping Digicross shenanigans. And a big change since the last deck is maximizing my copies of Ogremon. This was a suggestion from a comment in my last video, and after experimenting with it for a whole bunch, I've loved this change. It's made the deck so much faster, removing the Sang Loopmons for this Ogremon, because you're able to start aggressing very quickly with the level. Just by pushing up to level 4, you can already start pushing for game and pushing for powerful plays because of how well Ogremon synergizes with the deck. It's why I used him at 1 copy before, but him not being a dark animal or an undead was keeping me from maximizing him. But then after seeing that the comment, I tested it out and I was like, no, this is definitely just a pure upgrade from Sang Loopmon. It's not even worth running anymore because this is just faster. It just helps the deck be faster, end games quicker, and it even has a good inheritable, when attacking to trash 1 card to gain plus 2k. It's great. You can even just evolve over it in the back if you really need to. And then for the other level 4s, 3 Dexterugamons, no more. It's too clunky. You want this in the trash most of the time. You can evolve it into things. None of the back, it would be pretty bad unless you can memory choke, but evolving it over things over here to discard a card to gain a memory if it's a Dex, Death X, or Dex, Death X, or an X anybody. And also get to proc Manishida's effect over here, but generally this is something I want to see in the trash unless I'm starved for level 4s. And then over here are a little engine of Dobermons, and Alice is over here, I'll get to later, but Dobermon has been really great for keeping this deck running and cycling and having a way to bring back resources from the trash. And also, if there's an Alice in play, he can be played for only 3, which is really good, because as you may know, with Alice, you playing this for 3, you can evolve into a level 6, reduce the cost by 3, delete Dobermon, cycle through your deck some more if you were missing a piece for the combo. I just really love Dobermon in this deck, and him being a dark animal helps even more for searchability and in case you want to evolve into it for free with GranDracmon. And then a new addition is 1 copy of Loamon. This has been pretty useful. You could take it out for something else if you want, but I just find the ability to surprise your opponent with a hybrid for game is always strong. And something that especially made me want to keep using this card is the fact that I could evolve one of my tamers into this guy, and then if I have a GranDracmon on the board, I can attack and then evolve this into a level 5 for free in case I don't have anything else on the board that I can capitalize GranDracmon's effect off of. So this is a good way to finish games and also to set up another body for your GranDracmon to buff up. And then the star of the show besides GranDracmon is Skullbluchimon, probably the best card in the deck besides Deathxmon, but Skullbluchimon is a phenomenal card, and without this card, this deck just wouldn't work. It wouldn't be here. When you discard it, you could evolve into an undead or dark animal from the trash when you discard it. And over here, 2 copies of GranDracmon. These are great for getting rid of level 4 or lower Digimon, and it's really good for combos also because you're also discarding a card while evolving into it, meaning you could discard Skullbluchimon. And over here, 1 copy of SkullGreymon and 1 copy of Matadormon. They do similar things. When attacking, discard a card to get plus 3000 DP. Matadormon, however, you have to discard an undead or dark animal, and when you evolve from the trash, you reduce the cost by 1. This is really good to evolve in the back or evolve over something with the wisdom training to try to get to do a maximum efficiency play. But I also really like SkullGreymon for the fact of if you discard him, you can tuck him underneath something to give that thing its retaliation inheritable. But also, it's another good one to evolve into the back or in play if you want to have an inheritable over Matadormon's Digivolution reduction cost. And then over here we have 3 copies of GranDracmon. I believe in my last list I had 4. I went down to 3 because I've since added more cards for consistency, and I've found that I've had too many. And also, since switching over to the Ogremon strategy, you don't need to have GranDracmon out as quickly. What matters more is having your lower end and then going into GranDracmon after you've established a play, or when you want to do a really big play, you can go into GranDracmon in one fell swoop, which I'll get into in the combo segments. But as you may know already, this is when evolving, play a purple level 3 from the trash for free. And end of attack, once per turn, evolve one of your other Digimon into an undead or dark animal from the trash for free. Then over here I have 2 copies of GranDracmon. I still really like this card because it is a way to get rid of a whole bunch of bodies on the board potentially. If you go into GranDracmon, delete a level 4 lower, go into GranDracmon, delete everything of the lowest level. So if they had a level 3, bam, it's gone. If they have 2 more level 5s, bam, they're both gone. It's just a really good way to catch your opponent off guard and delete things. And on top of that, it has a cool on deletion effect to play a purple level 3. Or if you have 5 or more cards with Dex or Death X in their names in the trash, you get to play Deathxmon from the trash for free, which has definitely come up now more often since I've upped my count of Deathxmons from 1 to 2. It's just been a lot more consistent with 2 Deathxmons. It's been a lot more useful. I always want to have 1 in my hand and 1 in the trash. It's expensive, but it's definitely been worth it. It's made the deck a lot better. If you can't afford Deathxmons though, I would say take them out for another level 6. Or you could take it out for another option card of your choice to add more consistency, maybe another wisdom training or a purple memory boost. Or you could also do another level 5 or a level 3 if you want to have more consistency in that way. Don't let the Deathxmon stop you from playing the deck. It definitely makes the deck stronger, but the deck still functions without it. It's not like it won't work without him. Then moving on to the tamers, this has been an amazing addition to the deck. Matt Ishida, who memory sets and gains a memory when you discard a card. I love this tamer, especially if by some miracle I have 2 on the board at the same time. I'm gaining 2 memory every time I discard a card, and with this deck, you discard cards all the time. It's such a good tamer. I love this card now. And here we have 3 copies of Alice. I almost want to bump this down to 2, but every time I think about it, I think about how I have 3 Dobermans. I want to keep this ratio of 3 and 3 to just have that maximum consistency I'm talking about. And also, this card is going to be more relevant for this deck in BT14 when I get 2 cards to look forward to in the future. So for now, I'm keeping it at 3. And next for option cards, we have 1 copy of Death X Digivolution to evolve something in play into an Undead or Dark Animal. No, not into a Dark Animal. Into a Dex or a Death X from the trash. I love this card. I really want to run 2 copies of this card. I can't find the space. I am still debating on what I should take out and run a 2nd copy. I just really like this card because I can discard it since it has the X Anybody trait to gain memories from my GranDracmon and GranDracmon. And I just always want to have one in my hand and maybe one in the trash too, because it also activates GranDracmon's on deletion effect. It's just a really fun card to use also, and a very it makes for some really skill-based plays that your opponent won't be expecting, and it's just really fun. I'll also get to this one in the combo segment, but yeah, maybe someday I'll figure out a way to get 2 copies of this in my deck. And then as for consistency option cards, we have 2 copies of Purple Memory Boost. You already know what Purple Memory Boost does. Search top 4, take a Purple Digimon, and a new addition that I was debating whether or not to use are 3 copies of Wisdom Training. But after facing against Fenrir Lugamon, I was like, yeah, no, I need this card also. So yeah, 3 Wisdom Trainings, because although you don't get to use it when you evolve from the trash when attacking, it's still really useful when you want to go into a level 4 for free. And if with Ogremon in the deck, it's always a good thing to go into Ogremon for literally free and save you that 2 memory. And also, it's really good if you want to go on top of something with a Skull Greymon or a Matadormon for 2 less cost. And another really good play that this enables is to go into GranDracmon for only 2 cost instead of having to pay a whole 4. Because GranDracmon, it's not like he has a special effect of when evolving from the trash, you know. His when evolving is unconditional. It happens, he doesn't have to evolve from the trash. And his other effect is an end of attack effect. So you can use Wisdom Training to reduce his cost of evolving and then also extend your plays that way. So that was a little bit rushed compared to my last video, but I mean, I already went over it in detail in that video, but this is the update of the deck. Since going to this version, I found a lot more success. I remember before in my last build, when I played against a lot of meta decks and my locals, I would struggle sometimes to keep up. But since switching over to Ogremon, I'm able to keep up faster, set up some really cool boards, and set up some crazy plays for them to deal with, especially when I played against a Blackboard Greymon X player. I remember that match was down to the wire. He had like a Blackboard Greymon and a Blackboard Greymon X Anybody both on the board at the same time, and I was able to get rid of them both with a Skull Voluchimon that had on deletion, deleting opponent's Digimon, and retaliation, because he bottom decked both of his X Antibodies since I already forced him to prior into the game. It was a really drawn out game, and he had to attack my security because he had no other play, so I wiped out both of his stacks and then won the next turn with a hybrid for game. And it's just really fun how this can actually, I know it's not tier 1, probably not even tier 2, but it definitely feels like it can compete. It's not, you're not dead out of water with this deck. It's really fun. Okay, so let's move on to the combo segment. Let me clean this up real quick. Alright, welcome to the combo guide of the video. We're gonna start off with a combo that you'll be using quite often. This is probably one of the easier ones. Alright, so let's say this doesn't exactly have to be at the very beginning of the game, but let's just say at some point in the game you have a Matt Ishida set up. Not necessary, but hey, it helps. And you're set to 3, and in the back you're gonna have a Gabumon ready to push up. You'll push up that Gabumon at the start of your turn, and because of his effect, if your opponent has a Digimon, you'll gain a memory. Now, for this combo, I recommend you to pull off this combo if your opponent has a Digimon, because you're gonna get the most benefit out of it that way, and I'll show you why real soon. You're gonna want to evolve that Gabumon into Ogremon for 2. Then from there, you'll swing at your opponent's security, activate Ogremon's when attacking effect to discard a card in your hand to get security attack +1. That's where you'll discard a Skullbaluchimon. Gaining security attack +1, you have to draw a card from Tsunomon since you just discarded a card. Then you'll get to suspend Madishita to gain a memory. Then you get to activate Skullbaluchimon's discard effect to evolve your Ogremon into Skullbaluchimon from the trash while attacking. And then you do Gabumon's draw 1, discard 1 to filter through your deck some more. Now, what this is doing is 2 checks at 7k with the added effect of on deletion, delete one of your opponent's Digimon until the end of their turn. This is a really potent combo because you're able to go into a 5, you get to do 2 checks very early into the game, and whether this lives or not, it poses a threat to the opponent. Because if this lives, then they have to worry about dealing with this guy in the next turn, especially if they have something on the board that they don't want to lose, because if this guy dies, you get to pick what Digimon on their side you get to delete. And if this dies in the middle of your swings, you get to just delete one of their Digimon right off the bat. And as you can see, you keep your turn, so if this does die, you still have enough memory to say, play another level 3, or play another Madishita to set up some more combos. What I like to do is probably play a Purple Memory Boost or a Wisdom Training to set up for next turn, since putting down a level 3 I'll probably die anyways, but what I meant earlier by not recommending this combo if your opponent has nothing on the board is because if you die in the middle of your checks, your on deletion effect will essentially do nothing. Because if this dies, and let's say it's the worst case scenario, you do 1 check, it dies on the first check, this dies, your opponent has nothing on the board, they don't lose anything, next turn they'll just push up a level 5, go into 6, and do three or so checks on you, and then you have nothing to come back with on the next turn. That's why you have to time this combo carefully. You want to use this when you know it'll affect and damage your opponent the most, where you're able to play the mind game of having them, forcing them to deal with this threat on the board, rather than pushing up and just swinging willy-nilly and making it so that if this dies, it won't benefit you in any way if they have nothing on their side of the board. Now, let's say that it goes back to your turn and your opponent wasn't able to deal with this Digimon. It's not that often where that happens, but it does happen because they don't want to kill it. But if they end up not killing it and it's your turn, you're going to be starting your turn at 3, and a good follow-up turn to this is, let's see. Okay. I'm going to want a couple of these guys. A good follow-up to that turn is to just evolve. You could evolve that Skullbaluchimon straight up into a GranDracmon from your hand. And since we have Madishita on the board, we'll be able to keep our turn while we do it. So straight up evolve the Skullbaluchimon to GranDracmon for 4. You draw a card for evolving. Then when evolving, you get to play a level 3 from the trash. Now let's say you established a Dracmon and a Labramon in there beforehand. Probably from your Gabumon, since you're able to discard from that in the last turn. And you're going to want to play a Labramon in this case, because of Labramon's on-play effect to draw 1 and trash 1. Since you discard, you'll get to suspend Madishita to gain a memory, and you get to draw a card from Tsunomon. So thanks to the Labramon, this is why I have this in the deck for situations like these, where you get to keep your turn with GranDracmon, essentially making him only 3 to evolve into, which is really great. Also why I love Madishita. And from here, you get to use your GranDracmon to its full potential, since you have something on the board to evolve this guy into at the end of this guy's attack. So when attacking, you get to discard a card to get plus 2000 DP. Now here is a really good time to discard your Dexterugomon if you don't have one in the trash already, to set up to evolve this guy into. So you get plus 2000 DP, so is that 14k. And then you also have the Gabumon Inheritable, draw 1 and trash 1. Here is when, if you have it, I would definitely recommend discarding Skullbaluchimon. However, it depends, again, on your opponent's side of the board and their board state. But A good play is, yes, to discard a Skullbaluchimon. Then you get to activate Skullbaluchimon's effect right away. You evolve that Labramon into the Dexterugomon from the trash for 3. Draw a card. Dexterugomon's 1 evolving effect. You discard an X antibody or Death X or whatever to gain a memory. Go ahead and you can just discard another Dexterugomon or whatever you have on your hand that fulfills that condition. You get to gain a memory. And then from here, GranDracmon's attack goes through. Maybe you attack the Digimon, maybe you attack security, you live, whatever. You get to evolve that Dexterugomon into Skullbaluchimon from the trash for free, giving your opponent only 2. I really like this setup. This is probably my favorite setup in this deck, to set up a blocker, retaliation, and non-deletion, delete your opponent's Digimon, because it makes it even more threatening for your opponents to deal with, more so than when we swung with this guy, because if they attack, we block, we delete whatever they attacked with, because this will die from retaliation, then we get to delete something else. So we get rid of 2 Digimon at the same time, and it's especially potent when you have a GranDracmon on the board that they want to try to get rid of. This is also protecting your GranDracmon stack so that this can keep evolving Digimon during your turn into an undead or dark animal from the trash for free. So essentially you keep getting to do the same thing over and over again, as long as your opponent doesn't get rid of your stuff. And even if they do, thanks to your on-deletion effects, you're not going to let them get off scot-free. Unless they bottom deck it, but hey. Yeah, we hate that. So that's one combo. We'll move on to the next. Okay, next combo. This is similar to the last one, except we're going to have a Dracmon into an Ogremon already set up in the back, and you're pushing up at the start of your turn with the Ogremon already there. And by the way, these combos usually work with either the Tsunomon or the Pagumon Egg. The Pagumon Egg is actually better for combos specifically, since you get to have another opportunity to discard a card, and maybe you get to discard something to, if you're missing something in the trash, you can go ahead and discard it there. You get a +1 KDP buff. It's really good, but in terms of like desk consistency, you're going to want to see the Tsunomon more often, especially in the early game. I like Pagumon more for probably mid or late game. That's why I only have 1 copy in the deck. So anyways, you're going to go ahead and push up with your Ogremon, similar to the last one, except with this setup, you're able to go all the way to a level 6 in 1 swing. So you'll attack with Ogremon, discard a Skullbaluchimon to get security attack +1, you draw a card with Tsunomon, suspend Madishita to gain a memory, then right away you activate Skullbaluchimon to evolve from the trash for 3, it gains on deletion, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. Then, by the way, this combo, you're going to want to have a couple cards in the trash already set up. Then with Dracmon, you get to evolve into an undead or dark animal from the trash while attacking. That's where you're going to go into GranDracmon for 4. And then GranDracmon's effect, you play level 3. Let's say you play Dracmon, you have to activate its on play effect. The attack goes through, that's 2 checks at 12k. If it lives, you get to evolve that Dracmon into Dexterugomon from the trash for free. You draw a card. You draw a card, and then you get to discard Dex, Death X, or X antibody in your hand to gain a memory. This is a good opportunity if you have the resources to get rid of another Skullbaluchimon to gain that memory, and then utilize it right away to go into Skullbaluchimon. It'll give your opponent 5 memory, but it gives you the same setup as we did last turn, except we did it in only 1 turn. And giving them 5 isn't that bad with them having to deal with this. However, it is pretty risky. I would only do this if I know my opponent has an easy way to get rid of level 4s or Digimon with 6000 DP or less. Because if they have like an easy 1 attacking effect, I'll just get rid of this guy, then this is essentially not going to do anything. So if I want to reinforce it with the Skullbaluchimon, I'll go for the extra memory to do this. Also, if you have, let's say, a purple memory boost in play, it really helps with you reducing the cost of it all, so you get to pass them 3 and have a whole thing. So this combo works, yeah, it works even better if you have a purple memory boost on the board, but we're assuming that you don't have all that luxury to do it with. But if you do, definitely makes it better. So yeah, this is one combo. This is it's similar to the last combo, except here you have the Dracmon inheritable, so it makes it much easier to go into a level 6 right away. The only issue with this one is that it's great that you're going into a GranDracmon right away in 1 swing. However, your GranDracmon is relatively weak in this combo. You're only going to be attacking for 12k, so if you want to make it stronger, instead of evolving into Skullbluchimon from the trash, you could always evolve into either a SkullGreymon or a Matadormon that you may have previously put in the trash, letting you discard another card while attacking to gain plus 3k, making your stack 15k instead of just 12k for 2 checks. Both are great. It also reduces the cost of evolving, so you have options. I mean, you could also even go into, let's see, GranDracmon. This is why I really like the level 5 lineup in this deck, because it's very versatile, a little bit toolboxy for you to pick what you want for the situation. So this combo and the last combo, they'll all work with any of the level 5s. It's just you pick for which situation will best benefit you. Normally, I like to use Skullbluchimon since I'm already discarding it, so I'm already able to use it right away. If you want to use something else, you're gonna have to rely on them already being in the trash. So you have to discard a Skullbluchimon and have this in the trash to evolve into, which may not always happen. So I find Skullbluchimon to be the most consistent. It's also my favorite effect because of the on-deletion effect, but other good options are GranDracmon if you want to pop a level 4 or lower. He'll also give you another opportunity to discard another card to set up for future combos, or if you want, you can discard a Skullbluchimon to set up an even bigger combo. And generally the safer picks are Matadormon. This is the most efficient one, since you get to swing for 2 checks at 15k, and you'll reduce the cost of evolving from the trash for 1, so it's more memory efficient. And then there's also SkullGreymon, who is essentially the same as Matadormon, except you get to discard any card in your hand instead of being forced to discard an undead or dark animal. And he has the Retaliation Inheritable, which is always helpful. So yeah, those are your different options right there for the level 5 lineup for this combo, and also the previous combos. Just mostly assume that when I'm evolving into a level 5 from the trash, you get to pick between one of these 4, which one will suit your situation the best. Alright? Moving on to the next one. So next, I'm going to explain the combos that will be utilizing the Death Hex Digivolution option card, which is a very useful card. Alright, so one of the great ways you can utilize the Death Hex Digivolution is to, let's say, play a level 3 of your picking. I'll just play a Dracmon since it's what I have in my hand right now. So go ahead and play it, and then from there you can just play a Death Hex Digivolution to evolve that Dracmon into a Dexterugomon from the trash. This is great to set up an emergency block and retaliation. And you can even, using his one evolving effect, you could even discard a Skullbluchimon if you have it in your hand to evolve into Skullbluchimon from the trash. So you just set up a blocker, retaliation, and on deletion delete your opponent's Digimon without even utilizing any of the GranDracmon combos, just off of one Death Hex Digivolution and one Skullbluchimon. So this is a really good emergency defensive maneuver. It doesn't come up as often as I'd like it to because I only have 1 copy of Death Hex Digivolution. That's why I want to bump it up to 1 more, but it's something to keep in mind when you might be on the back step and you want to try to live another turn. Another good way to utilize Death Hex Digivolution is, let's say you have a level 5 on the board, your opponent has a whole slew of Digimon on the board. Maybe you're playing against Bloom Lordmon or Commandramon D-Brigade. Good thing you play Death Hex Digivolution. You can go into Dexterugomon from the trash. For 5, you get to delete all of the Digimon of the lowest level. Amazing board wipe for specific situations, you know. You can also use it to go into Dexterugomon to delete a level 4 or lower. And one of my favorite uses of it is, let's say you have a Dexterugomon, or maybe even let's see, where is it? Could even just be a GranDracmon after he's done his swing. This is a good way to utilize Death Hex Digivolution. You swing with GranDracmon, you do 2 checks, you evolve your guy for free. You were able to keep your turn thanks to maybe either you planned it out well or you had memory boost to help you out. You can mess them up even more. Play a Death Hex Digivolution, evolve into a Death Hexmon from the trash for 6. De-Digivolve their whole board, delete everything that is level 4 or lower. This is why I love to have Death Hex Digivolution in this deck, because it sets up some very it opens up a lot of possibilities in the deck, letting you have a lot more fun with the cards that you're utilizing, since we do have the Death Hex package. So it's a good idea to keep this in, especially since it's also the X antibody trait. So because of that, it synergizes with a lot of our discard effects. Next, this is something that I preferably like to do in the early or mid game when I want to cycle through my deck, or in mid game if I've used up some pieces in the early game and I want to bring them back, where you go ahead and push up a Doberman, and let's say you established an Alice McCoy on the board, or they checked in security. You'll get to swing, draw one Trashman with Gabumon, draw another card with Tsunomon. Hopefully this guy dies. If he dies, you have to trash the top 3 cards of your deck and then return a purple Tamer or purple option card to your hand. I really like to bring back Doberman itself, because if I have an Alice in play, I can just play that Doberman back out for 3. Very efficient, very annoying, because if your opponent pops this on their turn, again, you get to cycle through more of your deck. You have to recycle pieces back to your trash. You can even bring this Doberman right back to your hand. And a really good thing that Madishita and Alice McCoy synergize with is that Madishita is always going to set you to 3, and as long as Alice is in play, Doberman is always going to cost 3, unless there's a second one on the board. So don't worry about that one. But meaning that if you have let's just say you have a level 5 on the board, and it's your turn, you have to play a Doberman for 3. You could always evolve into a level 6 into your hand, use Alice, delete the Doberman, reduce it by 3, and you're able to evolve for cheaper. And the best part here is that you're able to recycle pieces back to your hand. For example, if you're missing a Scobaluchimon to pull off a GranDracmon combo, by utilizing Doberman and Alice, you have the opportunity to bring that Scobaluchimon back from the trash to your hand and keep your turn and use that combo. In this situation specifically, like, let's see, if I play this for 3 and then evolve into a GranDracmon for 4, use Alice, delete this, reduce by 3, GranDracmon's evolving effect, I can go ahead and play a Labramon from the trash. On play, draw 1 trash one, suspend Madishita, gain a memory. Boom. We keep our turn, and this GranDracmon, we got to go ahead and bring back a Scobaluchimon from Doberman's on deletion effect, and then we'll attack with GranDracmon, and then you see what I mean? We get to go do the whole combo over and over again. Go into a Doberman if you want more recycling, or you can go ahead and go into DexDracmon and set up defensive maneuvers that way. Another cute little combo that you can do real quick is what I mentioned earlier with hybrids with the hybrid in this deck, Loemon. I like him to finish off games, but also he's a good backup body to set up in case I have a lone GranDracmon on the board and it's my turn and I need to capitalize on his end of attack effect. And especially, let's say, if I don't have any level 3s in my hand, because you tend to use a lot of level 3s in this deck, whether you're evolving in the back, discarding them into the trash to play them out. So if you're missing those, a backup plan is to go ahead and evolve into Loemon, preferably your Alice, since your Alice is never going to be suspended. And you get to go ahead and attack with your GranDracmon, activate any effects here that you wish. You could discard a Scobaluchimon now if you want to go ahead and evolve the Loemon into the Scobaluchimon, or you could evolve it into a DexDracmon. You can pick whether you want to do this or not, because if you do choose to do this, you're going to pass turn. So it's great if you want to go ahead and set something up, if you don't want to have this suspended. But for this situation, I do kind of want to attack with the Loemon, so instead probably just discard cards that you want to have in the trash. So probably a DexDracmon, save the Scobaluchimon. You do your check at 14k, thanks to Ogremon's Inheritable. End of attack effect, you could go ahead and evolve that Loemon into, let's say, a DexDracmon from the trash for free, pop a level 4, maybe a blocker or a floodgate that's been bothering you, or Scobaluchimon. That way you can do a check with your hybrid, who's now a Scobaluchimon that has on deletion, deleting opponent's Digimon. So if this dies, you have to capitalize off that on deletion effect. So as you can see, this is a great little backup plan to have a body on the board to utilize GranDracmon's effect with. Alright, this is going to be the last combo. This is a really big burst comeback combo. It's going to take a little bit of setup. Preferably, you're going to want to have at least 1 Purple Memory Boost or 1 Wisdom Training, or have a memory set on the board. Remember, by the way, I'm doing all these combos with Madishita on the board just for convenience purposes, but you don't need to have a memory setter to do most of your combos. It's only going to help give your opponent less memory, but just because you're not set at 3, that doesn't mean you can't pull off your combos, because most of the time you're evolving when attacking, so you don't have to have the memory before you attack. You're evolving when attacking, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot whether you have your memory set or not. I just really like to have Madishita to be able to reduce and make the plays more efficient. So preferably you have it on play. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. Alright, so anyways, moving on to the combo. What you're gonna want to have is an Ogremon back here. Does it have to be Ogremon? Not really. It could be Dobermon. It could be Dexterugomon if you've bricked. Ogremon is just the prime card to use here. That's why I've been using it in all these combos, but this is best case scenario. You have Ogremon. If you don't, like I said, it's not the end of the world. You can accommodate for that with different inheritables, like for example Pagumon, or if you have an extra Sculptoluchimon, or you could always just evolve into a level 5, say Matadormon in the back, and have that back there ready, or evolve it now by using a Wisdom Training. Okay. So there's a couple ways you can take this combo depending on what you have over here. If you have a purple memory boost, if you have wisdom training, if you have 2 purple memory boosts, 2 wisdom trainings, or 1 of each, or maybe just 1 of either. You could either swing with the Ogremon right away to get security attack +1 to do extra attacks, or you could evolve it using a wisdom training into a Matadormon in your hand. This is the preferred level 5 for this combo. SkullGreymon also works, but the preferred one is Matadormon. You have to evolve for only 1, and then you get to begin your combo that way. I'll show you the combo by using this method here. Also, let's say I went ahead and trashed the purple memory boost 2. Not necessary, but just to show you how much you can do if you have a couple of these guys on the board. Alright. So you evolved into Matadormon for only 1, you're swinging, you discard an undead or dark animal in your hand to get plus 3000 DP. You're going to go ahead and not discard your Sculptoluchimons yet. This is where you're going to probably want to discard a GranDracmon if you don't have one in the trash already. You have to activate Dracmon's Inheritable to evolve that Matadormon into GranDracmon now for only 3, because Matadormon reduces it. And then from there, the good level 3s to play here are either Labramon or Dracmon. Labramon if you're missing cards and you need something in the trash that isn't there already for the combo, or Dracmon if you want to search and have a better inheritable. For in this situation, I'll just play a Dracmon since it's flavor. So you go ahead and play the level 3 now. Then we activate the rest of your when attacking effects. Ogremon, you discard a card to get plus 2k. This is when you discard a Sculptoluchimon. This guy gets plus 2k, so right now he's at 17k. You draw a card from Tsunomon since you discarded, and you activate your Sculptoluchimon's effect to evolve your level 3 into a Dexterugomon from the trash for 3. Dexterugomon, you discard an X antibody or a Dex or Death X to gain a memory. Here is when you discard yet another Sculptoluchimon. Yeah, for this combo, you're going to need 2 Sculptoluchimons. You'll gain that memory. Then you activate Sculptoluchimon. You can evolve that Dexterugomon into either Sculptoluchi or DexterGreymon. I'll go ahead and pick DexterGreymon for this situation. Evolve for 4. Then Dexterugomon's effect. You discard a card in your hand to gain a memory. Has to be Dex or Death X. Just trash a Dexterugomon. You gain a memory. And then your GranDracmon's attack is going to finally go through. He's going to do a check at 17k if he's attacking security, or you could be swinging over a high DP Digimon to get rid of it. Then end of attack effect, you get to evolve that Dexterugreymon into an entire level 6 from the trash for free. Dexterugoremon is my favorite in this situation to further reduce your opponent's board and set up a very menacing card right here. With Dexterugoremon here, he has block and retaliation from Dexterugomon. He'd have already popped a level 4 lower with Dexterugreymon to further make Dexterugoremon's effect more potent. Like, let's say your opponent had a level 4 and 2 5s. Dexterugreymon, you popped a level 4. Dexterugoremon, you popped both of their level 5s. Their board's now empty. Or you could have gone with the Skullbluchimon if they don't really have a wide board to set up a really annoying stack that they do not want to attack. And on top of that, Dexter-Gormon himself has an on deletion effect to play a level 3 from the trash, or if you have 5 or more cards with Dex or Death X in their names from the trash, you get to play a Death X-mon for free. Now, if this guy dies, that's already 1, 2, 3 cards that fulfill that requirement. Death X Evolution also fulfills that requirement, and you're going to want to have a Death X-mon in the trash already since you're playing it from the trash for free, and he himself also counts. So 5 cards, you get to play a Death X-mon for free if they get rid of that Dexter-Gormon. So yeah, this is a really big burst comeback combo where you're essentially setting up 2 level 6 stacks on only 1 swing. It's very fun, very cool, and oh yeah, I forgot. Suspend mana sheet to gain a memory. So this whole time you do this all and only give them 3. Now this is if you had 2 boosts in the back. If you didn't, you're giving them 5, which, I mean, for setting up 2 level 6s in 1 swing with one having a whole slew of effects on him and one doing a big check at 17 or whatever K, that's not bad. So this is the biggest combo that the deck has, and one that you should definitely keep at the back of your mind when you are in the late game. This is usually a late game combo. So anyways guys, thank you for watching the video. That concluded the combo guide. As for future videos, I'm looking forward to cards that are coming out in the future for this deck, so I might make a video at some point talking about cards in upcoming sets, especially cards from like BT14. There's some cards in EX5 that I'm looking forward to, a couple promo cards also, and also in BT16 there's some really interesting picks that you could utilize for this deck. So that's probably my next plan, to make a video talking about upcoming cards for this deck. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I definitely recommend trying this deck out. It's really fun. I don't really know of any other deck in the card game that kind of plays like this, like plays exactly like this. So it's a unique way to play the game, really fun, and surprisingly pretty strong. Anyways guys, have a good one. Peace out.